Okay, so welcome to our team call tonight. I'm so excited. I'm not going to make very many announcements or anything. We'll just share those in the team threads and all of that fun stuff. But I wanted to introduce you guys to an amazing coach. She has been in this business for, and I don't even know if you told me how many years, but I don't know what you want. Come here, I'll hold you. Okay, hey Libby, can you help her? I don't know what she's saying. I'm sorry. That's just how it's gonna go tonight. Can I help you? Libby, go help her really quick. I'm introducing Meg. Okay, so Meg, and it's Kozlowski, right? Is that how you say it? So Meg Kozlowski, she has been a coach how many years?
Like I was a coach for 9 years, you guys. 9 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah, so she's been a coach for 9 years. She's pregnant with her second baby. She's due in June. That's so fun and so exciting. Hopefully you'll be able to make it to Summit. I know it's always kind of crazy. She's a superstar diamond coach. So an incredible leader and someone that if you don't have your notebook out, you're going to want to take pages and pages of notes, I'm sure. She is a superstar in her first CBC, a 6-star in her second, 3-star in her third, 1-star in her fourth, and she's a 7-time elite, top 10 in 2013, and multi-million-dollar earner. You guys, success leaves clues. So one of the things that I remember listening to Meg many years ago, like right when I first signed up, and just thinking, okay, this woman is busy. She's got a lot going on. She's clearly doing something right because she just hit the gates running and she hasn't stopped since. And she's had all the life things that you can possibly imagine happen to her. So I want you guys to really just take to heart what she has to share with us tonight. I know she's prepared some amazing things and I'm so excited to hear from you. And Meg, if you have anything else you want to say in your introduction, feel free, but I'm going to kind of turn it over to you and let you take it from here.
You're so sweet. And you already sent me a voice memo that literally was making me blush. My husband's like, what are you listening to? I'm like, but your cheeks get all red and everything. And I know that like when you hear people speak and you hear all these huge accolades and everything like that, you think like, oh my gosh, they must have hit the ground running from the beginning. I'm failing. I'm not going to even get close to those things. And I want to assure you guys, I was not that coach that started out really strong. I signed up back in 2009 as a 22-year-old, so don't rule out those young coaches, okay? And I strictly did it just for the discount. Janelle Summers is my upline. She's amazing. She actually lives about 5 minutes from me. And I was her assistant. And I would come over and she would, Shakeology had just come out, you guys. That's how long ago this was. And she would make me this shake. Now, I was a nutritionist, okay? I went to school for nutrition. I didn't get into my dietetic internship, so I came back home with my parents, was getting my master's while working as Janelle's assistant. And I was so against protein shakes and protein bars and all that stuff. And that's when P90X bars were real big. If you've ever had a P90X bar, they were not the best for you, but they're really freaking good. So she would give me P90X bars and Shakeology. And Shakeology, I was like, oh, I don't know about this, did the research, got hooked. Didn't have very much money. So that's how she got me in as a coach. I was like, okay, I need this in my life. I see what it's doing for my energy and for my own digestion. You know, I have thyroid issues, so I've had, you know, those kind of issues and even just my weight loss. And so I said, okay, I'm gonna come in just for that discount. And I was focusing on losing those 30 pounds because I thought that I had to lose all of that weight before I could become a successful Beachbody coach, right? Like I had it in my head that I had to be this perfect size. You know, I saw these people that just look perfect. And I thought, I'm not there yet. I need to get a little bit older. I need to get a family. I need to get kids. Like, who says that? Like, you have no time when you have kids, right? Like, I had all this time, but I had this list of things I had to achieve before I could start taking off in my business, which is so silly. And you guys, honestly, I didn't take before pictures. So when I tell people, you know, yeah, I initially lost 30 pounds, even my husband who didn't know me at the time, he's like, yeah, right. You know, I'm only 5'4", so he's like, I can't even picture, unless I'm pregnant, you being 30 pounds overweight, right? And I'm like, God, I wish I would have taken those before pictures. But I had all this stuff in my head as to what a perfect successful Beachbody coach looked like. And maybe some of you guys have those things too, right? You have this list of things that you're like, when I start achieving, I will have achieved and done all of these things on my personal life, and then I can be successful. When that's completely backwards, okay? And we'll go through that tonight, you guys. But it took me about 2 years to realize how silly I was being. I was completely fed up with the way that my life was going. I loved being Janelle's assistant. I loved being able to, have the Beachbody side of it. But I was working as a exercise manager at a local YMCA, making about it in a year what Janelle made in a week. And that's when the real light bulb went off, when she was like, Meg, what are you doing? You have this business in front of you, and it's like you're not tapping into your full potential. And a light bulb went off. I was like, I have my master's and I'm making nothing a year, and this is what my life is going to look like. I'm not okay with that. So my first big push was when she said, you should go for Diamond. And I believe it was maybe her first Diamond event that she did. She bought this, didn't buy, but she took us around in this limo in Toledo, Ohio, and we drove around, went to dinner, and she bought us some Nikes, and it was just one of those cool nights. And it was for the first time ever, you guys, that I set a goal for myself, and I hit it, okay? 2 years into my business, I hit Diamond. I wasn't the 3 month, like people say, hit Diamond in 90 days. No, but I will tell you, from the minute that I made the decision that I was going to get serious about my business, it was 3 months from then, okay? So whether you've been a coach for a couple months, couple weeks, couple years, it was 3 months from then that I hit that goal of Diamond, and I proved to myself that I was able to do something hard because I didn't want to let her down. Yes, it was a goal that I wanted to achieve for selfish reasons, to be able to drive around in a limo, right? I was 24 at the time. But I didn't want to let her down. I didn't want to let the team down, okay? And I was not going to miss that event. So once I realized that I could hit a hard goal that I set for myself, no matter how hard it could be, I did the action, okay? I controlled my action. We'll talk about that in a sec as well. But I just went for it, okay? And I knew that I wasn't the fittest or I wasn't the most business savvy. I still am not. I'm still trying to learn Instagram ads. I'm like, babe, can you find a good article on Instagram ads so I can start doing this? Because I'm still not doing it. But I knew, and maybe a lot of you guys feel this way as well, especially with all the tools that we have as coaches, I would outwork anyone, okay? I can stay most consistent than anyone in the network. I talked to Carl the other day, which was fun, but he said, when we talk to people in the corporate mentors, you're one of those people that stays consistent over the 9 years. I might not be the person who's earning 500 Success Club points a month, but I can stay consistent. And that, you guys, is through the 9 years, that's what outweighs, okay? Being able to stay consistently helping people, okay? So don't compare yourself to those people who are making those record high numbers. That's awesome from them. I'm proud of them. I wish I could do that, but I couldn't consistently do that, okay? So I started staying consistent with the things that we all need to do, which is starting relationships, inviting, following up, so that I could set another goal and get to work, okay? So that's where my first tip comes in, you guys, is that if you're not setting goals for yourself that scare the heck out of you, okay, I used to call it my hairy, scary goal. I guess I haven't talked about that in a long time, but that's what we would talk about on my team. I would say, you need to set your hairy, scary goal, the one that literally makes the hair stand up on your back, right? And just go for it. Because if you're not pushing yourself for that hairy, scary goal, you're not pushing yourself to your full potential, okay? Anyone can hit Success Club 5. When I have people say, I can't help 3 people in a month, are you even hearing yourself right now? You can help 3 people in a month. Why are you saying that? It's because this is telling you can't, so then your actions follow that. But if you go out there and you say, I absolutely can help 3 people, you know what? Those coaches who are pushing to their full potential, they're like, bare minimum, I'm helping 20 plus people a month, okay? Not because they have huge social media followings, not because they have everything put together, but because they're willing to do the work to get there, okay? And that was the mindset shift that I had to make. I had to say, okay, I'm going to set these hairy, scary goals, and I know that my action can help me get there. And your action can too, you guys, okay? Anyone can hit emerald. You know, when people come in and they're like, I don't know 2 people. Yes, you do. You know 2 people unless you've lived under a rock for the last 20 years, okay? Anyone can hit emerald, but not many people get to 2-star and beyond. But why can't you? Okay, you have to retrain your brain, okay? If I've learned anything, and hopefully you guys have read this book, The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. He's my boy. I read it anytime I need, you know, I'm pushing for a goal, or I just need that extra oomph. I listen to him. I don't just read the book, I listen to him because I love the energy in his voice. I'm actually reading it right now with my Team Cup team. And if I've learned anything from him, okay, looking back at the success that I've had over the last, really it is 7 years because I didn't get started until 2011. But when I set those goals, I went big, okay? I wasn't looking at the top 50. I wasn't looking at what the coaches around me were doing. I didn't know any of their names other than my upline Janelle, right? I knew Christine Dwyer too. But everyone else, I was like, I don't know who that is, right? I had my head down. I was laser focused. And I knew what I needed to do to achieve my goal, right? So what goals are you shooting for? It's February, what's today, the 13th. We have a couple weeks left in the first quarter, okay? Well, a little more than a couple, okay? But you got to be hitting some kind of goal. Don't wait till 6 months in or a summit goal. I have people talking to me about summit already. I'm like, why? Why are you setting a goal for summit when you should be setting it for the first quarter? Focus on 3 months at a time, you guys. 3 months at a time, okay? But you have to go for those goals, those big ones. And guess what? I've fallen short a lot. When we first went for Superstar Diamond, I believe it was like in 2012. And guess what? I didn't hit it till 2015, like weeks after I gave birth to my daughter. Okay, so it took us a couple of years to hit that, but we kept going for it. And we kept, I kept overshooting and saying, okay, what are my goals going to be? How can I get there? Okay, and we kept inching towards that goal. Okay, so when you fall short, you still land higher than average if you're shooting for those higher goals, okay? So number 1, make sure you're setting those hairy, scary goals that make the hair stand up on your back that are 3 months, okay? 3-month segments. Number 2, you guys, this is probably my favorite one, okay? You gotta let go of what you don't have control over, okay? And control the things that you do have control over. I'm a control freak. I remember when I was giving birth to my daughter and she was sunny side up and delivery was not so fun. It didn't go the way I planned. I ended up being in the hospital way longer than I wanted to. And I remember my nurse saying to me, "You're kind of a control freak, aren't you?" And I'm like, this is the first time that anyone has ever said that to me, but I think I am. I think I truly am a control freak, right? Like I was like, oh, my poor husband, like he has to force me to ask for help because I'm like, I can do it all for myself, right? Like I can do everything. No one does it the way that I do it, so I'm just going to do it. I had to let go of that control. I had to let go of the expectations of everyone else and even myself. We set these crazy expectations for ourselves and then we beat ourselves up when we don't hit them. If you're going to have that switch from a hobby to a business mentality, you got to take control of what you have control over and let go of what you don't have control over. So what are some of those things that we don't have control over? We have no control over who says yes, unfortunately, right? We have no control over who comments on our posts. We have no control over who even likes our posts, right? You're like, this is going to be a great post. Like I had like this really cute little picture up of my daughter and I cheersing with the chocolate covered strawberries that my husband got us earlier. And I was like, this is going to be a great post. And I get on there and I'm like, that did not get the response I thought it was going to, right? And then the post that you put up there, you're like, I don't know how this is going to do. It like blows up. You're like, oh, okay, cool. We have no control over that, you guys. We have no control over who even likes our account. Gosh, with Instagram, it's like you grow by 5, you drop by 20, you grow by 30, you drop by 50, right? Like it's just an ongoing thing. We have no control over that. We have no control over who watches our stories on Instagram. We have no control over who hits Success Club on our team. No control over that, okay? We have no control over who rank advances on our team, okay? And we also have no control over who is going to show up and hustle. Because there's times when I'm sure all of us have had people sign up and we're like, this person's going to be a rock star. And then 2 months later, they're like, I just sent in my cancellation. And you're like, what? That doesn't even make any sense. And then you have these unicorns that come out of nowhere that take a little longer to move their business, and then they just explode, okay? So we have no control over that. Now, what do we do have control over? Coming from the control freak, this is the stuff that I get excited about. I'm like, yes, well, let me have something that I have control over. Our own mindset, okay? We have control over our own mindset every single day. Being proof the product works, okay? Yes, I am 5 months pregnant right now with our rainbow baby boy. He's actually kicking me right now, probably from those strawberries. And I don't have control over the weight gain, but I have control over what I put in my body. Don't judge me for my strawberries. It is a fruit, right? I do have control over getting my workout in every single day. Even when I'm not feeling energized, I can still do some yoga. I can still walk around. We can be proof the product works. We have control over that, you guys. I have been an emotional eater. I have been someone who had an eating disorder, several different eating disorders growing up, okay? So I've overcome that, but I know I have control over it, not in a creepy way, what I put in my body, and knowing that I'm fueling my body the right way with 2B mindset or the ultimate portion fix that's coming out, whatever floats your boat. I'm kind of down the middle of both. Don't tell Autumn. But, we have control over that, you guys. We also have control over our own actions, okay? So making our connections, making our invites, making our follow-ups. I hope you guys are using the Success Club Tracker. I was like so when my business, she got it right there. When my business took off, I was doing the lame business activity tracker back in 2011, 2012, and it has changed a lot, okay? But I was like, I have control over these actions. And if they're right in front of my face, then I can do it every single day. And I know that I will not go to bed, because this is my duty. This is my obligation, as Grant Cardone would say, to my future family and now my present family, to be successful in this business. So I have control over my actions. And I know that my actions will create the results, right? Not overnight. Usually a 60 to 90 day delay. And most people give up before that 60 to 90 delay happens, right? But I have control. So please be using that. That thing is like a game changer. I'm like trying to convince my husband to start doing it, and he like never works the business. I'm like, did you listen to Anita Myron's husband though? Like, did anyone hear the National Wake Up Call? I was like, my hubby could do that? Come on. Like, I was like, you should listen to this. Okay, but make sure that you're doing the actions, okay? Don't go to bed until that thing is filled out. And you're not doing the bare minimum, right? You're not going for SC5, so you're inviting 2 to 3 people. You're 10xing that, okay? Because that's your duty and obligation. Also, guys, make sure that you are controlling your value and your content on your social media. Gosh, so much has changed over the last 9 years. I was laughing the other day because I was looking at my like page and what used to get huge numbers. Like I would get like 500 shares on memes, you guys. Like those stupid memes, like really stupid memes. And I'm like, oh man, I can't even get a share on like valuable stuff at this point, right? But you have to put that value out there and change with the times of social media. Okay, so you have control over your content. You have control over your consistency. You have control over the things that, like I said, the actions and the things that we can do to move the business forward. Those things that don't show the results right away, which is really hard, but in the long run, that's where the results come from. Okay, so when I stopped trying to control my team and I started to focus on what I had control over, which was me, I noticed the right people came along, okay? And they started to follow my lead, because instead of me dictating and trying to control them and saying, hey, I noticed that you have an emerald that's about to drop. I don't do that anymore, okay? Like they're in control. If they drop, it's on them. It's on them. Okay. And I started to control me and lead from the front and share from the front of everything that I was doing. They started to follow, and they started to have that mindset shift the way that I did. Okay. And I started to see that my coaches were having that switch from the hobby coach mentality to the business side, because they saw me take on that mentality first. Okay. And remember that it's not our job. It is not our job, you guys, to pull people along. That's really hard for me, because yes, you've learned from me that I'm a control freak. I'm also a people pleaser. How many of us worry too much about what other people think of us? Even still, 9 years in, you guys, I'm like, this person sent me a mean message, that I have to kind of debrief it. And then I tell my husband, and then he tells me the person was stupid, and then I move on, right? Block, move on. But I'm still that people pleaser that I always was. I'm still trying to work through it every single day. But I realized that my job is to be a mentor. My job is to give my team the tools, not to pull them along. Because if you pull them along, that's when they start resenting you, right? But if you give them the tools and you give them, you let them know that you believe in them and that you're there for them when they're ready to run, exactly what my upline did for me. She never pushed it on me for the 2 years. But anytime I was there and ready to say, you know what, I want to make this seriously happen, she was the one that breathed the belief into me and pointed me towards the tools, okay? She didn't say, okay, let's set up a call and let's work through everything, Meg. She said, here's the tools. Let's go, okay? So I tell my coaches, and you guys have probably heard this, and this was game-changing for me when I started really focusing in on building my team. I heard Lindsay Matway say, if someone disappears, I'm not going to chase them down because that's not fair to everyone who's showing up. Okay, if that one person stops showing up and I start following that one person and trying to pull them back in, that's not fair to the other 15, 20 people or 4 or 5 people who are showing up and that do deserve your attention. Okay, so I always tell my coaches, I will meet you halfway. If you're going to disappear, I'm going to disappear, right? If you are going to walk, I'm going to walk next to you. If you're going to jog, I'm going to jog. If you're going to run, I'm going to run. If you're going to sprint, I'll be sprinting right next to you, okay, until I pop this baby out and then I need to take a little breather and then I'll start sprinting again, okay? So they know that I'm going to meet them halfway, okay? So number 3, guys. So, sorry, I get a little winded with this baby at this point because I can feel him kicking my rib. Okay, number 3. To grow $1 million business, you need to grow yourself first, okay? I remember I thought personal development was the lamest thing ever. When I signed up, I was reading all of these health books because I was getting my master's in public health nutrition, which is one of the most boring things ever. And I was like, I just don't have time. I don't have time to read stuff. And I got a good head on my shoulders. My parents gave me confidence when really I had so many issues that I had to work through, you guys. I needed to grow myself. And I didn't realize that. Okay, so many of us are so blind to the things that we need to work through. If you don't have a routine that gets you in the right mood every single day before you sit down to work, okay, yeah, I love Miracle Morning. I'll be honest, mine's rarely in the morning. It's usually later in the morning. But you need to create that habit before you sit down to work, okay? People who are serious about their business, they have it's almost like OCD, right? They have these actions that they do to get them into the right mindset. I've heard Tony Robbins gets in an ice bath. He does some crazy stuff that I could never do. I will never do that. Yes, athletes, you guys, you have to get this little routine down. So for me, I'm gonna let you know what mine is, okay? And I've shifted it. And before, it was strictly the Miracle Morning, okay? And I was like, there's some parts of the Miracle Morning I don't like doing. I don't like journaling. I have horrible handwriting, and I cannot get myself to sit down long enough to journal. Maybe there's other people who like to journal, and you would keep that part of it. For me, I was like, yeah, that's not going to work for me. I also don't like to visualize very much. Like I said, I don't like to sit down and just be like, okay, what do I want to do? But I did find things that worked for me. So you have to have some kind of work routine that you put together that works for you, okay? It's okay to tweak things. So mine, you guys, the first thing that I do is I spend 3 to 5 minutes meditating. 3 to 5 minutes meditating. Now, I am someone who hated yoga. I hated meditation. I hated all that stuff. I have a mom who's big into meditation. And after I lost our second baby, our second pregnancy, what that means, my third pregnancy, in 2018, I knew I needed to do something because my head was just all over the place. And so my mom said, why don't you give this meditation thing a chance? Just try it out, Megan. So I found the app Headspace. 3 to 5 minutes, you guys. You can sit down 3 to 5 minutes and do meditation. I actually have my husband do it now too, and he was totally against it. And so you sit down, you do 3 to 5 minutes of meditation right before you sit down to work, okay? The next is 3 to 5 minutes of silent prayer. So if you're religious, I close my eyes and I pray. I force myself to do it because I know that's going to be the only time probably throughout the day, because I got a crazy toddler too, that I can have that time for me to connect with God and what he wants me to achieve. Now, if you're not religious, just close your eyes and just let yourself just chill out after the meditation without thinking about anything. The next thing, you guys, is that I read my affirmations. And those change every 3 months, okay? It's focused on whatever I'm wanting to achieve, not just in the business, but personally. One of my affirmations is that, I pour the best parts of myself into my husband and my daughter every single day, first and foremost, because sometimes this business can try and take a front burner in front of our family, right? And I realized that that's not the way that I want my daughter to grow up. I want her to know that she's always at the front of my mind. So I've set that affirmation to make sure that I am doing that every single day. Okay. So affirmations, and they change. The next of that, you guys, is that I make a list, and this is game changing. If you start doing this, even if you do any of, is this the only thing that you do, it's going to game change. Okay. Make a list of 10 things you're grateful for every single day. So you can put it in your phone, like in a note. When I was on vacation and my parents gave me like no time alone, I would just very quickly, go in the bathroom, make my list of 10 things I was grateful for. And game changer, you guys, because so many times we focus on the negative when really we have so much to be grateful for every single day, each and every one of you. Okay. So the list of 10 things that I'm grateful for, and then I finish it up with just 10 to 15 minutes of personal development. Now, that's not the only personal development that I do throughout the day. I'm listening to personal development when I'm in the car. I'm listening to it when I'm showering. I'm listening to it when I'm getting ready in the morning. I'm listening to it when I'm doing the dishes. On the way to pick up my husband's Valentine's present, because of course he gives it to me the day before, so that I'm like, oh gosh, I got to go out and get your present today. Are you kidding me? But I was listening to the Ultimate Portion Fix thing that they did in the Beachbody Champions group. So I had my phone open and like screenshotting while I was driving. I swear it was safe, you guys. But I'm not listening to music. My music time is when I work out. The rest of the time it's that personal development. And so make sure that you're doing that kind of stuff. Find the morning routine that works for you guys, okay? The other part of that is, you guys, with growing yourself to have this million or multi-million-dollar business that you want to achieve, is that you got to be getting on the National Wake Up Call religiously. I have listened to the National Wake Up Call every single week for the last 7 years. 7 years, okay? And yes, I have heard Anita Meyer on every single time, and I love her to death. I'm always like, that was so good. I love Anita. So, and I take notes, and I'm going to apply it. And I'll be honest, you guys, there's sometimes I get on those calls, and I'm like, not every tip is going to work for you. There's some things that I'm like, I would never do that. That doesn't fit my personality. But other times, you're going to find at least 1 or 2 tips from every single call that you're like, I could apply that. That means you're taking the right notes, right? And you're able to take those 1 to 2 things and apply it that week. If you're taking a million notes and you're saying, I'm going to apply every single part of this call, there's a good chance you can't stay consistent with that. And to have that business mentality, you can't do that, right? You've got to find the things that you can stay consistent with week to week. Okay, so find those things on those National Wake Up Calls that you can stay consistent with. Okay, 1 to 2 tips, maybe 3. Also, you guys, make sure that you're picking 1 training per week, 1 business training. I have some people on my team who listen to a business training every single day. And I'm like, when do you have time to work? That's like the cherry on the top for me after I get my Success Club tracker done, after I get my work done. If my daughter lets me, then I listen to a training, right? But I can't touch that training, because I like to learn, until all that stuff is done. Okay, so one a week on top of the National Wake Up Call. Now, if you're like, I can't even do that, just do the National Wake Up Call. Okay, just focus on the National Wake Up Call, because those are quality trainings every single week. But don't do a million. Okay, all right. Number 4, you guys, act like the coach you want to become right now. We had the honor to have Chris Downing at our Super Saturday, or Super Weekend. Isn't that what it's called now? Super Weekend this January. And he did a couple Zooms for us. And his main focus was saying, you need to act like the person you want to become right now. You can't wait. You can't wait until you have lost the 30 pounds like I was waiting, right? Or until you have that family, or until you have 20,000 followers on your Instagram, or whatever, you guys. You can't wait. You have to start acting like that person right now, okay? If you kind of sort of try, you're going to kind of sort of get the results. I love that quote. I love hearing that because it's true, you guys. If you're acting like you're kind of sort of doing the Success Club tracker, but you're like, I'm going to be a 5-star diamond coach by the end of the year, there's a good chance you're not going to if you are kind of sort of doing your Success Club tracker. Because what you're doing right now, that's what's going to pay off in December. Okay, believe me, I've been a coach for long enough to know that if you're kind of sort of trying in your actions every single day, that's going to affect you 6 to 7 months down the road. Okay, you got to be doing those actions right now and doing them religiously, acting like that 5-star diamond coach today, as opposed to, even if you're coach status right now, okay, talk to a 5-star diamond coach and say, what does your day actually look like? What are your numbers that you're actually going for? I mean, I've had people message me like that before, and I'm very open about it because it's like, and if you ask any coach, they're going to be open and tell you, this is how many I'm doing, okay? And that's because they're acting like the coach that they want to be versus the actual coach that they are at that point, okay? You also have to make sure that you are sharing all of that with your team. I assumed that my team was like, oh, Meg, right? Like, she's achieved all this stuff and like whatever, like they would just kind of just let it go, even though it was a team effort. So I just thought, they don't need to see what I'm doing every single day, right? Like, they don't have to see how I'm inviting. They don't have to see how I'm adding to my network. I just assumed that they didn't care, right? Or that it wouldn't be relatable. But when I finally started to share every single day, hey, you guys, this is how I'm adding to my network. This is how I'm connecting with people. This is how I'm, putting hashtags on my Instagram stories. This is how I'm inviting people, and just broke it down every single day, acting like that coach that I wanted to be, that leader for them, right? Then they started to pick up on it because they're going to do what you do, not what you say, okay? So make sure you're acting like that coach that you want to be at the end of the year right now in February, okay? And if you're like, oh my gosh, we're already through like the first, which I was like, oh my God, we're already through the first month of 2019. How? Like, how is that possible, right? But you still have time. We still have like 2.5 weeks left in February, right? Like, you still have so much time to start acting like that person right now, okay? Last one, guys. Just remember, I guess I already said this tip, but I'll do it again. You guys, we got to remember that at the end of the day, we are so blessed. We are so blessed to be a part of the company that we're a part of. I've had a chance to talk with Carl, and I've had a chance to talk with Michael Neiman, and I love Jeff Hill, and all of those guys, and know where their heart's at and where this business is going. And I fully trust them. I've been a coach with them for 9 years, and I fully trust them. And I know that, we're so blessed, every one of us, to have this opportunity to be our own bosses. And that's the mindset shift, you guys. To go from a hobby to a business builder or a business mentality is that you have full control over your own business, right? How cool is that, you guys? Yes, we don't have control over what our team does, but we have control over what we do, okay? And it's not supposed to be easy. My gosh, when people sign up with me and they're like, I thought this was going to be a lot easier. I'm like, you're building a business. You're building a business. Think if you would have opened a brick and mortar, how much harder it would be. Like, we pay $17 a month if you're not drinking Shakeology? Come on. Like, that's ridiculous. It's not going to be easy to make $1 million. Why should it be? Sometimes it blows my mind when people are like, but this is a lot harder than I thought. Building a business, you guys. You're building a business. But you know what? Like, it's one of the hardest things that I've ever done in my life. It's also one of the only things I've ever stayed the most consistent with. And you know what? I appreciate it so much and I appreciate that it hasn't been easy, because it's taught me so much about myself, and it's taught me so much about working with people and the person that I was meant to be on this earth. And it's grown me into the wife and the mom that my family deserves, okay? And I will never take that for granted. So think about that. Whether you've been a coach for a couple weeks or a couple days versus a couple years, how truly blessed you are to have this opportunity and to be a part of a company that doesn't take shortcuts. And it doesn't do quick fixes. Like, we can stand strong behind a company that is truly promoting health and fitness the right way. Okay. And I know that from having my background in nutrition, right? I'm like, heck yes, I would never align myself with a company that's going to do a quick fix. Even when they came out with the 3-day refresh, at first I was like, what is this that they're doing? And I'm like, okay, it makes sense. You know, it makes complete sense. The science behind the 3-day refresh and the ultimate reset and all that stuff. Okay, so stand proud for being a Beachbody coach and take this business seriously. Okay, so I'm going to hand it back over to you, Melissa.
Meg, I seriously was like, amen, amen. Like, I could not get enough of all these little truth bombs that you were throwing out at us. If you don't mind, I wanted to maybe open it up for some questions. If anyone has any questions, this is your chance to ask literally anything to someone who has been in the business probably longer than most people you'll have a chance to talk with, and has kind of been through all of the ebbs and flows of running a business and running a Beachbody business. So does anyone have any questions for Meg? Just unmute yourself and ask on the, like, with your voice, not on the text. Unless it's crazy at your house, and then you can type it in. Okay, I see Paige raising her hand. She's like, here, I'll unmute you. Did you raise your hand, Paige?
No.
Oh, were you talking to someone else?
Don't call me out.
I thought I saw her going like, me. Okay, nobody has a question?
Hello.
You guys are crazy.
I have a question.
Okay, Miranda.
Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. So, I've sent out, like, I've been getting back in the groove after January and sick and surgery and all that stuff. So I'm getting back in the habit of sending out invites and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to keep them, like, usually you know who you're talking to. I have a lot of Facebook friends. A lot of them are connected through real estate, so I don't know them, like, personally. But most of the time, I'll, like, make sure their name is in it. I'll make sure when I'm inviting it sounds personalized. But I've gotten to, like, in the last couple months, they're like, oh, one lady, I mean, I've met her a few times. She was like, oh, you can do so much better than copy and pasting a message into my messenger. And I was like, I'm sending you a personal message. Like, I've seen you, I've had conversation with you, like, what? And she was like, I have trainings on that. She's not Beachbody or anything. And I was like, oh my gosh. So I guess my question would be, like, how do you deal with that? Because even sometimes people just assume that you're, like, copy pasting, even though it's like a short, sweet message of, hey, are you interested? Like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I just think it's weird. And I guess I don't really know how to combat it. Be like, sorry, that was a personal message to you, or just a better way to not sound like I copy pasted.
Honestly, like, you guys, I've had people message me and say, like, some of the most ridiculous things, right? And I'm like, what, where is this coming from? And I am a people pleaser, so I first immediately get defensive and, like, upset, and I go cry in the corner. But then I come back and I realize, like, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with her. So if she has trainings on that, that means she's probably in a network marketing company and she's not doing well. Okay.
Right.
So she's starting to bring all of those feelings towards you. So let it roll off your back. I always say, you hear that, like, hashtag bye, Felicia. And I wish I could be that person that's like, see ya, bye. But I do respond back really sweetly. I usually end up blocking them, I'll be honest. Because I'm like,
okay, I can't block her because we're on an island and it's really small. But, like,
no.
yeah, I was the same. I was like, I don't cringe. It was kind of awkward. And then I was like, hey, like, thanks for not answering my question. Like, you're
right. So I have my husband. He always, like, makes me be a little nicer than what I want to say, right? And he's like, kill her with kindness. Kill her with kindness. You respond back, you be sweet. so that they're in the wrong, not you. So you would say, hey, I'm so sorry that you thought that this was a copy and paste. I did not copy and paste this message. I truly thought that you would benefit from this because of X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry if I offended you. It was not my intention, and leave it at that. Okay? Because that way you're being nice and she's in the wrong. Okay? Yeah. And just know it happens to us all. It truly does. It really does.
And to, I guess, add, I responded with like, oh yeah, I would love to know what trainings you're doing. And then she sent it, and I, like, you can heart eyes the message or whatever, and I just left it at that. I was like, okay, like.
And you took the higher road. But just know it. You know, like, it happens whether you're a brand new coach or you've been a coach for 9 years. Unfortunately, just there's sometimes people like that.
Yeah.
And you know, just know that you are better off not having her as a customer or coach, right? She's showing her character right there. And who knows, she might come back around. I've had people who've been really rude to me, and I've taken the higher road and I've been polite back, and they come back years later. And they're like, you know, it's almost like they forget that the message is right above, right? And you're like, yeah. But they come back and then they want to join a challenge group because they've been watching you. So I would just let it go.
Gotcha. Well, thank you.
Yes. So I have so many people say, well, I am pregnant, so I can't right now. How do you respond to that? So obviously I'm pregnant, and I have a lot of people who follow me that are pregnant. And I understand some women just don't want to work out. I'll be honest, I don't focus a lot on pregnant women for that very reason, because they get to choose, you know, if they want to be healthy or if they want to do their own thing during their pregnancy. But I know that by sharing my journey, once that baby comes out, they're going to be more likely wanting to work with me. So I wouldn't push it too much with someone who's pregnant, because we're very hormonal. Right? Like, we have to make our own decisions, but just inspire them, you know, and just say, I fully support that. I'm so excited for your pregnancy, and just know that if you want to connect and get in a group afterwards, I am more than welcome to have you in. But we also have prenatal workouts that you can get started on, you know, and I just leave it at that. And they'll continue to watch me on my stories, and then some do, some don't. Sure. I hope that helps. Like I said, we're very hormonal and we're gaining weight, so a little touchy. Let's see. I was pregnant when Micah invited me, and she was so sweet and did the same thing Mike said. Yeah, exactly. You know, I had one of my coaches who was one of my top coaches, was just at NLC this last week, and her and I, like, she's like, I am so glad that you didn't invite me when I was pregnant, because I probably would have bit your head off. Now me, if someone would have came to me when I was pregnant, I would have been inspired. It really just depends on the person.
Yeah, I was the same way. I was like, it's so funny because Jerica, she was 34 weeks and on bed rest, like couldn't even work out or anything. And she's like, heck yeah, this sounds awesome. Like, I would love to do this. Whereas me, Micah invited me, and I was like, I am way pregnant. I'm not working out. Like, no thanks. Mm-hmm. And then I watched, and then I wished I would have joined when I was pregnant, but we're all so different. And I don't think you can force anyone, regardless if they're pregnant or not, if they're just saying like, no, not right now, I'm pregnant, or I don't have money, or whatever their objection is. As long as you just stay consistent and just be their friend. I think that's the biggest thing, just continue to support them on their journey. And then when they're ready, they'll come to you because you have been so sweet and kind, and you haven't left their side even when they didn't. Like, you just have to go into a relationship without expecting anything in return, you know?
Agree. You know, and when someone's pregnant, if, you know, probably the majority of us have children or think about having children, and during that pregnancy, you're watching other people who are being health and fitness wise, and you're like, oh, okay, once I have this baby, I'm going to lose that weight, right? So you plant that seed, they're going to watch you, and then afterwards, you're going to be the first person that they think of.
I love it. So true. Okay. Anyone else have a question for Meg?
I actually have a question now. Sorry.
Hey.
So I've been experiencing a lot where I'll send a cart, like someone's like, oh yeah, I'm totally interested. And then they're ghosting me. Like, I send them a shopping cart, I give them all the information, and then they're just like, nope, I'm done replying to you now.
Mm-hmm. It happens to all of us too. I'll be honest. So I used to hate follow-ups. I really did, because I was like, oh, I don't want to bother the person, right? But so one of the things, you guys have probably seen the peanut butter and jelly invite method that I talked about on Actual Makeup Call. Be honest, you guys, people ignore my first message 9 times out of 10. Okay. And my first message back to them is, hey, and it's the next day. Hey, Sarah, I hope that I didn't offend you with my last message. That was not my intention. And I do like the cute little monkey emoji, right? So it like puts people off guard because they're like, oh, it's a cute monkey, right? And out of those 10 messages that I sent the day before, like 4 or 5 respond back and they're like, oh my God, I am so sorry, I got so busy. Now, when they ghost you, okay, so say you send that share card and they have all of the information and then they disappear. My first thought is something's going on in their life. Okay, so don't think like, oh my God, I did something wrong. As long as they knew that share cart was coming and that you've already decided, the Shakeology flavor, and you figured out if they want to be mindset or they want the portion, and you figured out all those questions and they are game in, because I don't send the link, and probably you don't either, until they're fully 100% in. But then if they disappear and I follow up with them once or twice, I let them go, but I still like and comment on their stuff on social media. Okay, so that they know I wasn't just trying to make a sale. Like, I truly want to help you. And what I find is, yeah, they might have disappeared on, during the Lift 4 test group, but because I continued, not every single day, but every couple weeks, to like and comment on their stuff and not bother them through follow-up messages, when the next launch comes out, they're filling out my form to join, because it just wasn't the right time for them. Like, people, we put so much pressure on ourselves to have everyone that we send the link out to sign up, when that's in reality not what really happens, unfortunately. When we send out links, there's people who, like I said, have changed their mind, or something comes up, or life happens, and then you have to just take that pressure off yourself and say, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong. I'm going to continue to show up and be that supportive, nice person to them, so that they know that I truly do care about them. And if they're meant to work with me, they'll come back. Does that help? Yeah. Okay. And I think Beachbody's like share card, doesn't it send them like an email to remind them to fill it out? So I don't want to be that person on top of the email that they're already receiving from Beachbody that's like, hey, where did you go? Do you still want it? Because like then they're going to be like, peace out. Like, this is annoying. So let Beachbody do that part.
I totally agree. I saw someone else who maybe had a question as well. That was such a good response. And I do the same thing. Like, I think it's just so important to just love on them, because you never know what's going on in their life. Not everyone is a coach who exposes a lot of like their life stuff on Instagram. So we just never know. So all you can really do is just support them. And then I think eventually, like, I know and I'm sure you've had similar situations where people come back to you months later, maybe even a year later, and be like, I feel so bad. At that time I just gone through a miscarriage, or I just, we were having a struggle, or I had lost my parent, or like, you just never know what's going on. And they're not going to come and be so open with you right away. And especially during the trauma of it all. So and maybe it's not even that. Maybe they're like, I got really scared and I just like couldn't do it, or we didn't have the money, or we got in a car accident, or like, you just never know.
Yeah. If we remember that it's our job not to convince people to sign up, but to let them know that this opportunity is out there, it's a lot easier for us when they may back out to say, it's just not the right time for them. Take that pressure off yourself.
Yeah, so true. Okay, was there anyone else? I thought I saw someone else who was maybe going to ask a question as well. And if not, that's fine. But
I have a question.
it was JC, yeah. Okay.
So I've had, I don't know, a handful of girls come to me and they want to do it and they're all for it. But like, one of them she used to buy the DVDs, and she says she doesn't have internet, or she doesn't have very good internet at her house, and so she can't have Beachbody on demand.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one is like, I want to do it. I keep seeing you. She's pregnant, 7 months pregnant like I am. We're due 2 days apart. She's like, I can't believe you keep doing this, da-da-da. She's like, but I already have such and such on DVD. I don't want to buy the whole Beachbody on demand program again. So I was like, well, who was your coach? She's like, oh, I just order everything off Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, but she wants me to like help her and encourage her, but I'm over here like, well, that's not really fair to me to be your coach when you're not doing anything with me.
And here's where I probably won't have the popular answer, okay? If there's someone who has the workouts, I let them in, you guys. I have them switch to me as their coach, and I let them in because I want them to see that I'm there to support them and help them. I have someone who does not have good internet, and I know Beachbody On Demand would never work for her. I don't even know the last time she bought a DVD, but she's one of my most consistent challengers. And because she's consistent, now she started to buy Shakeology. Okay, because I let her in at the beginning with nothing, okay? As well as, you know, people who have had DVDs from other people, or they've done Beachbody On Demand with other coaches and their coaches quit, or their coaches disappear on them or whatever. And I'm like, hop in, you know, as long as you're willing to make me your coach because your coach is gone or your coach is MIA or you had a disagreement or whatever. I want you to come into my community because I know some coaches are so strict about like, you have to have a challenge pack or you have to have Shakeology Home Direct. That's not the way I run my business. It's based off of community, you know, and I think that's, I hope I don't upset anyone, but I've seen a lot of coaches in this business that have kept that stronghold where you have to buy Shakeology, you have to stay on Shakeology, you're not in my group. That's just not how I can run my business because I want to help people. So being pregnant, congratulations on your pregnancy. You're about 2 months ahead of me. I hope you're feeling good. But I would go in and just love on them and say, you know what, come in my group. Because here's the thing, they might turn into your rock star coach that like, you know, like they crush it in the challenge group and then all of a sudden they take off in their business. And it was like that person, that diamond in the rough. Because you gave them that support. How many times on the National Wake Up Call do we hear from people, well, I got it burned off of whatever, right? Or like I ordered it on Amazon at first. I ordered Turbo Jam on Amazon. And, you know, Janelle was totally fine with it. So just let them in. She's like, oh, I didn't want to hear that answer.
No, that's great. Especially the ones that like I know, like you said, like I know her internet isn't well and I know she can't get Beachbody. They don't have like cable or anything because they can't get anything out there.
And you could be that one person that like, you know, you bring her into your community and you help change her life completely. You know, like just think of how awesome that is.
Yeah. The ones that bought it off Amazon, she doesn't have a coach. So do I just let her in even though she's technically
I have her sign up for a free account under you.
Okay.
So then you're her coach. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Look at that cute baby. I remember when Tommy had short hair like that.
She's so bald. She like hates clothes. Like I don't know if you saw, she was trying to pull her pants off back there. I'm like, this is R-rated. I need to
I love it.
get this little girl's clothes back on. Okay, what other questions? Anyone else want to ask Meg something? I know it's almost been an hour, so. Meg, seriously, thank you so much for taking time out of your night. I know it's later where you're at. Are you on the East Coast or where are you?
I am East Coast, but luckily second trimester has been amazing. I feel really good. Like I'm stay up past 10.
You're like, it's not horrible. But yeah, thank you so much for speaking to us and for sharing your wisdom, for so much incredible advice for one in the Q&A, but then also just laying it out. I love like how you took us through kind of your journey and your experience because I felt myself like, yes, I felt that way. That's so how it was for me. And it's just nice to be able to hear kind of your experience in that it's not something that just happens overnight and it does take time, but it's so worth the time that it takes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, hi, cutie pie. And guys, I'll be honest, like there's seasons in your business where like you're going to feel like you are on top of the world and you are crushing it. And then other times that you're barely getting by. and just know that it's a season. And like, as you heard on the National Wake Up Call with Anita, just do those consistent behaviors on the Success Club tracker, and you're not gonna, you might see some lulls, but it's not gonna completely slow down your business.
Yes, I love it. Okay, well, you guys, thank you so much for getting on. Thank you, Meg, for your time, for your wisdom, for everything. And we'll be, I'm sure, seeing you on social media and everywhere. And I know didn't you do a National Wake Up Call recently?
I think it was in September.
In September. Yeah, it was amazing. I loved it. The PB&J method.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know what that is, go YouTube it or go to the National Wake Up Call podcast and listen to it, because it was incredible, and it's a game changer for invites and for follow-ups and all that. So thank you so much. Have an amazing night, and we'll see you soon.
All right, bye. Thank you, guys. See you later.
See ya. Thanks.